All right, I think I'm live. Peace, peace, love, harmony, and light. It's on. Let's get it on. All right, I think I'm live. Peace, peace, love. All right, audio is good. All right, I'm going to give you guys some times to chime in. Hey, peace, brother, peace, brother. What it do, what it do, what it do, what it do. All right, we're about to go in. We're about to go in, brothers and sisters, family, all right, tribal people. All right, we're about to go in. We're about to go in. I'm gonna give you guys some time to chime into this live feed because moving forward, it's really important that we as a people we know who we are. Okay, that how would I put it? The lack of identification or the not knowing who we are is definitely a problem. Hey, Chief Copper Fox, what's up? What's up? What's up? So again, my goal and my intentions are to definitely drop the jewels and you do what you want with it. As you know, I'm constantly on the grind, searching. And then once I search, I research. Then after I research, I in search. You know what I mean? And I hope you guys could hear me. All right. So I'm going into some archives and I have the link of the video and the information that we are going to go over today in the link below. All right, so you could do your own research. Don't believe anything I say. Don't take my word for it. All right, I want a lot of you to say, hey, you know what? Chief don't know what he's talking about. I want you all to research the information yourself. Brother Jonathan, your book got in the mail today. So once again, thank you for the support and for all those of you who have been supporting the book and hey, giving me your feedback and the great reviews. I really, really appreciate that. For those of you who don't have a copy of the book, Newsflash, Everyone's a Slave Unless. The link is below to go to the website and check it out. Great information that will potentially help you save your life or save your children and teach you how to get out of a lot of these legal situations that our people get into, because that seemed to be, if not the most, how would I put it, detrimental, tool that's being used to take our people down is this legal system. So in the book, I'm teaching you how to fight and win, and I'm showing you everything, how we became enslaved, who did the enslavement, and what we have to do to make sure that we free ourselves. All right. So with that being said, as you can see, the title of the video, diving deeper. Going deeper. I mean, you have a lot of people out here that's putting in the work, doing the research, doing videos, doing great videos, and I want to thank them for the great work that they're doing. We have to be aware that our people have been, man, we have been through so much. You have no idea. I mean, you just can't comprehend. All right, just to explain words, I can't even do justice, okay, to the Holocaust and the genocide that our people have been through. And one of the main reasons, apart from me loving my people, one of the main reasons why I do these videos is because I believe it's very important, it's imperative that the people get the knowledge. Because if they don't get the knowledge, then that DNA, that ancient DNA that's in us, okay, it will not wake up. We need to trigger those memories as to those ancestral DNAs. We need to trigger them so that they could wake up, and that's what it's going to take, because people are literally the walking dead. They are asleep. And speaking on a general term, the melanated people, the heavy melanated people, the dark skin race, the Negroid race, if I may, is the original man and woman of this planet. I mean, that's scientifically proven. I mean, it's been proven without a doubt. So it is safe to say that. Okay. However, we have been spread and put over all these different parts of the planet. But the reason why I'm saying that is because we have one thing in common. And it doesn't matter what you call yourself. I don't care what you call yourself. You could call yourself an African. You could call yourself a Pan-Africanist. You could call yourself an Israelite. You could call yourself a Moor. You could call yourself an Indian. You could call yourself an Aborigine. I don't care what you call yourself. We have one thing in common. And that is the original man and woman of this planet is under attack. And the powers there be, okay, you know, in fact, I'm not going to say powers there be, because I'm not going to give them any power, but the cowards there be, okay, their goal and their mission is to wipe us out, okay, is to wipe out the original man and woman. First, they attacked our men, okay? Our men have been through so much. And I'm not saying that to ask our sisters to, you know, for pity. No, that's not what I'm saying, because we don't need pity right now. But just so you know, the psychological damage, the emotional damage, the spiritual hurt, okay, the physical abuse that our men have faced, okay, man, I mean, again, you know, just in words, I cannot explain that. But since that they have broken our men, now they are attacking our women. They are attacking our women all over the world. Okay, melanated women, heavy melanated women and men, they are being purged out. And they are telling you what they are doing. I went to see, I don't really go to the movies, but I had to go see, and I'm not promoting it, all right? Go see the Purge, the first Purge, and it was, again, it was literally information, all the subliminal messages that's in there that I speak of. Okay, so I'm gonna try to see if I could get a copy of that download. I don't know how I'm gonna do it. Peace. I don't know how I'm gonna do it, but I'm gonna see if I could do that so I could break down this movie. And the symbolism in there is man, all right. But everything that I'm talking to you about, I'm telling you, is literally, I mean, it has been happening. The purge has always been, but it wasn't so blatant. So now it's up in the open. They're telling you what they're doing. They're telling you what they're going to do. And like I told y'all before, you have until like about a year and a half to get your affairs in order. Like seriously, okay, to really have a true understanding of what this system is, what it's doing to us, and how you could protect yourself. It is the only way. Okay, it is the only way to protect yourself. And you have to get the book. The link is below for you to get that information. So let's get into this, right? The first thing we're going to do is this. Yes, we know that we are the aborigines of this land. We know that, okay? There has been enough videos out there telling you about that. A lot of information telling you about that. But I'm going, again, deeper, giving you more information, giving you more facts, giving you more information to research. Well, not just to research, but to search, then research, okay? Because a lot of people are still in doubt. A lot of people are still brainwashed. And it's a tough hill to climb. I'm telling you, one of the biggest challenges of my life is to give our people this knowledge and let it resonate with them, okay? It is a big challenge because the people are so asleep. And that's a sad situation. It is a really sad situation. So I'm going to read from this book, and we're going to get into this, man. We're going to get into this. All right, let me see if I can find, where did I have that? Okay, give me a look for that. So bear with me here. All right, bear with me. Let me get this. I know I have it somewhere, so I'm going to get into this. Let me see if I have it in this folder. All right, give me a second, okay? First, I'm gonna, show you guys again what religion has done to our people. A lot of our people are still not convinced that Christianity didn't exist in the Americas, okay? A lot of people still don't believe that Jesus is not a real man. He wasn't a real man, okay? Jesus is a nickname for someone that our people deemed a prophet, you know what I mean? Or it was somebody that had the stature of, let's just say, a Malcolm X or the likes of a Malcolm X. Not even more so, I would say a Malcolm X and a Martin Luther King in one, because, I mean, he went up against the government and they set him up back in his day. All right, so we have always had brothers and sisters who stood, but the only thing with Yeshua was born a baby and he was very aware. What people would say conscious. I don't use the word conscious because conscious is actually two words. All right. She, if you look it up yourself, she is a word. And I'm going to show you guys that real quick. And that to show you why I don't really use conscious. Okay, so let me just, instead of just talking about it, let me just show you guys that, and then we'll get into the book. All right, and guys, please do me a favor. Let's try to stay on topic, and let's not get carried away and distracted. And you have to teach your children, teach your friends, your neighbors. Is the only way we have to start planting those seeds. Let them know, hey, you're not black, you're not African American. That is not a nationality. Got to be for 2020. All right. So let us share this for a second. And where we're at. I know you guys can see this, right? So we're gonna go, let me see, go. And let's look at the set. Conscious is actually the word that they use. That words, it's a compound word. You have con and you have shias, and shias is actually a word. So let me show it to you. And that's why when people making consciousness to be like a cult, or it's a new religion. You know, it's get caught the status quo, what everybody's doing, everybody want to do. And consciousness, okay, means it's a, you know, it's a cult, it's the new religion. All now look at this. Consciousness. All consciousness means is the state of being awake and aware of the world. So when people talking about, oh, I'm conscious, I'm part of the conscious community, my question, again, it just shows to me, it shows me the ignorance of a lot of people. They are not well studied. Because there is no such thing as the conscious community. Everybody's conscious. Just my question to you is, what are you awoke to? What are you aware of? What type of surroundings are you waking up to? What are you waking up to? Because everybody's conscious. So to say you're part of the conscious community alone, it makes me know that you are not well studied. Okay, you are just following people. You're just a follower, and you're not thinking for yourself. But let us break up that word conscious. All right, con. First off, we look at con last, but let us look at the word shias. Shias is actually a word. So if conscious means to be aware, all right, then why would they add con in front of the word? Because shias means to have knowledge, having knowledge, to be aware. It is the same thing. I hope you guys are seeing this. Okay? Shias is a word, and it means the same thing, to be aware, having the knowledge. Right? So why would they add this word con in front of it? Con. Let us look at the definition of con. Definition. A lot of times, you know, when I say things and I speak, people think I'm crazy, but you go ahead and think that I'm crazy. It's cool. I'm cool with it. All right? I like to think outside the box. Now, con. Persuade someone to do something, to do or believe something, typically by use of deception. So when you're talking about, oh, you're part of the conscious community, yes, I know you're part of the conscious community. What you are telling people and what you are teaching, okay, it is being, you having them, you're putting them in a predicament to believe something, typically by the use of deception. Okay? The noun, number 2, an instance of deceiving or tricking someone. So yes, you are absolutely right. You are part of the conscious community. So I agree. I'm not going to take that away from you. But don't make it seem or let people think it's a religion or a cult, because everyone is conscious of something. It means to be aware. However, when you say conscious, like convict, okay, con artist. So if your knowledge stems from conning people, then you are conscious. And that's why they take so much pride. Again, nothing is done accidentally. People take pride sometimes foolishly, yes, in certain beliefs and certain ideas. But the so-called conscious community, they know exactly why they call themselves the conscious community, because they are trying to persuade people, in that case, the so-called black community to believe things, okay, by use of deception, by the lies, telling you and telling us that we're from Africa, telling us that we came from ape, we evolved from apes. Okay, that knowledge, okay, is deception because it's not true. Because the American Aborigines, we are not Africans, but that's what they are pushing. That's what they are promoting. That's the propaganda that they stand on, and they're getting paid to do it. Therefore, the information they're giving you to make you aware is coming from a con perspective. And that's why I don't say I'm conscious. I always say I'm aware, or hey, she is, meaning that I have the knowledge. I know I am aware. So I hope that makes sense. Again, I just want to give you guys information so that you could raise your vibrations, raise your frequency, dive into the truth. All right? Because remember, we are always casting spells. So we have to be very mindful of that. So I just wanted to dive into that real quick. Pardon, that chair is, doing a lot of squeaking. But now that we have done that, let me go into here. So this is a book. And I'm gonna put that book on the Nation's website. Okay. The one of the videos that we did, the 103 facts about the so-called black man or Negro or the black Indian. I actually put that on the site in the university section because a lot of people wanted that information, because I did promise I was going to put it up. So eventually I will put, this book up. It's Red, Yellow, and Black by Sophia Lyon Phase or Faz. All right. Now, in this book, the reason why I'm not going to read everything, however, I'm going to read the first chapter, and you would see that what religion has done, okay, to our people. All right. And I keep telling our people, Christianity wasn't part of our culture. It wasn't part of our spirituality. It wasn't part of our religion. Yes, we had, you may call it legion, but they took it and gave us religion. In other words, they did it over. Whatever we had, anytime you have the prefix re, which is re, in front of any word, it means to do over. And once again, I will give you an example. If I drove my car forward and I say, hey, do me a favor, go reverse my car, it means that the car had already been driven. Forward is the only way you could reverse it. Do me a favor, rewrite my book. That means the book has already been written. So when you get religion, it means that you had something in place and it was done over. And it wasn't Christianity. It wasn't Jesus. We didn't have that. A lot of people may say, oh, well, Chief, you is blasphemy. Yes, to you, because that's what you were taught by the colonizers. That religion was forced on our people. In fact, all those religions was forced on our people. It's either you became a Christian, a Muslim, and mind you, Muslim, okay, or Islam, so to speak, Islam was actually on this landmass before Christianity. Because, a lot of people from the Islamic faith, okay, and I'm not going to get into the Moors now, but a lot of people, they came with their religion, which was Islam. That's why a lot of them go around, hey, Islam. But they say it's something different, but it's the same. It's a religion that was brought to our landmass to enslave the mind of our people, to break down their concept of spirituality and let them believe that their creator, the Most High, is actually outside of them when the Most High dwells within. So I'm going to always show you the proof. And again, you do what you want with it. It's called cognitive dissonance. It doesn't matter what I show you, you're not going to believe because they have you afraid and fear. Oh, well, you know what? I rather trust the devil that I know instead of the one I don't know. So I was having a deep, conversation. I think I mentioned that, with a pastor. And he's saying, Chief, everything you're saying is true. We just saying it differently. And I'm like, no, most of the things we saying is true, but it's just that the interpretation of what you're teaching is false. It is actually false. So he asked me a question. He said, well, Chief, what if one day you die, right? No, check this out. True story. One day, what if one day you die and you actually go to heaven? And wouldn't you rather get to know Jesus now and accept Jesus as your Lord and personal Savior than to go to heaven thinking, or to die thinking that he's not real, and when you die you meet him face to face and find out that he's real? Man. And then he started smirking because he thought he had me, right? So he excited, but he's smiling. I was ready for that. So I was like, you know what? As a matter of fact, I'm very, very pleased that you asked that question, and thank you for bringing that up. So this is how I'm going to address this question. Number one, you say that one day when I die. So I responded to that. I say, I'm going to break this down. I'm going to answer you. Okay. I'm going to take my time and do this. So I say, first of all, you spoke about death. Christians believe in death. I don't believe in death because, number one, there's no such thing as death. Do you agree? He didn't know what to say. He said, yes and no. I said, what you mean yes and no? It's either you believe in death or you don't. Well, we die and we go into the ground. I say, no, we don't die. The flesh goes back into the ground and the spirit goes back into the ground. I say, okay, you know what? Let me answer you with a question. Do you believe that your God has eternal life? He said, yes. Do you believe that your God created you in his, because y'all think it's a he, in his likeness and image? He said, yes. So let me ask you a question. If your God created you the same way that he is, how come he gave you death and he don't die? He didn't know how to answer that. I said, brother, there's no such thing as death. Okay? So I'm not worried about so-called dying and meeting a Jesus that never existed. I told him, and asked him another question. I said, do you know that Jesus wasn't his real name? Do you know that who they replaced, they gave the nickname Jesus? Do you know his true name is Yeshua? He was like, well, yeah, but some people, call different names, but it's the same person. I said, nah, it is not the same, because religion has taught our people that this Jesus came to save their life. And that's not true. And I was beating him down. Seriously. So at the end of the day, he conceded by saying, you know what, Chief, we saying the same thing, but we just saying it differently. And I couldn't agree with that, because what you are teaching people, the interpretation of that book, you are telling them a lie. Okay. So with that being said, let us read. Okay, we're gonna start reading here from chapter 1, and I'm only gonna read chapter 1, and then I will put that link on the website. Okay, a Negro and his dream. 100 years ago, when your great-grandfathers were boys, there lived in Virginia a young Negro named John Stewart. For some years, his work had been to take the cloth which women made on their spinning wheels at home and to dye it for them. But one day he started forth alone with his few belongings tied to a pole thrown over his shoulders and with all his savings in his pocket. Thus he tramped over the mountains from his old home in Virginia to make for himself another home in the new western town of Marietta on the Ohio River. His slight body was nimble in its walking. His black eyes had a manly look, and his heart was glad in the thought of what he might do in this new town. As he walked along a shaded path through the wilderness, however, robbers punched him upon home and robbed him of all his money and left him lying in the path helpless. When he came to himself, he felt miserable indeed, and no good Samaritan came to his relief. Here I am, he said to himself, a penniless Negro and a stranger traveling to a strange town. Alas, the robbers had not only taken his money, they had also stolen the hope in his heart. His limbs moved slowly, and look in his black eyes became dull and gloomy. It took but a few days in the strange town to change this young colored man into a wretched beggar. Okay. Now look at the narrative and look at the word, this young colored man. All right. Young colored man. So you know who are the colored people, right? All right, good. And they also call us, a lot of names, but I'm gonna go somewhere with this. I'm reading here just so you know, okay? A few odd jobs here and there he found to do, but these helped but little, for he spent most of his nickels and dimes for whiskey. Again, nothing new under the sun, right? A drink will make me feel better, he would say to himself as he walked in the door of a rum shop. Once again, there is nothing new under the sun. On every corner, there's a rum shop. On every corner, there's a liquor store. All right. As the weeks passed, he came to drink often and then more often still until finally spells of drunkenness would come upon him frequently when he could neither walk straight nor talk straight, and his hands had trembled so badly that only with difficulty could he feed himself. John Stewart no longer found any joy in living. As he wandered one evening along the bank of Ohio River, he thought he had heard Satan speak to him and say, "Drown yourself in the river." He was almost ready to obey when he heard another voice say, "John Stewart, John Stewart." He turned and looked all about him, but saw no one there, and he was afraid. Again, on another evening, as he strayed gloomy and alone along a quiet street, he heard the sound of singing. As he approached the house from which the music came, he heard shouting and praying. He became curious and stepped to the door and was invited in. He found himself in the midst of Methodist prayer meeting. He liked the meeting, and yet he didn't like it. When another evening came, however, he went again and later yet again. The love of, let me just make sure I'm reading in sequence here, because all of a sudden I see page 19. Okay, 17, 18, 19. Okay, great. The love of Jesus began to change him. He gave up his drinking of whiskey. He rented a little shop of his own and became again a dyer of cloth. In the early morning and in the evening, he would wander out alone in the woods and seating himself on the moose beneath a tree. He would read his Bible, and then he would kneel down and pray to God to help him to be a true man. One Sabbath evening, as he was sitting thus alone in the woods, he thought he saw an Indian bedecked in buckskin and feathers step toward him, and he thought he heard him say, "Thou shalt go to the northwest into the forest of the red man and declare plainly the words of the living God." Then he thought he saw an Indian squaw wrapped in her blanket standing beside the man, and thought he heard her speak the same words. "Thou shalt go into the northwest into the forest of the red man and declare plainly the words of the living God." As he stood wondering and gazing at his strange, okay, let's take this down. Come on, man, what's going on here? 21. His strange companions, the western sky seemed to light with strange radiance. On other evenings, as he sat alone in the woods, John Stewart again heard the voices. First, the voice of a man, then the voice of a woman saying, "Thou shalt go to the northwest into the forest of the red man and declare plainly the words of the living God." Sometimes he thought he heard them singing together in the sweetest tones. Sometimes, before he realized it, he found himself standing up and preaching as if the words were full of Indian eager to hear his message. The memory of the voices in the woods disturbed John Stewart as he toiled at his trade. A wild scheme it would be for me to be a preacher, he thought. A preacher should have more education than I have. Then he would remember the days of his drinking, and he would say, "Such a man as I can never be worthy to preach the words of the living God." Yet the voices would keep ringing in his ear. "Thou shalt go to the northwest, to the northwest." He tried to forget them, but he could not. He spoke about the voices to his friends at the Methodist prayer meetings. It was only a dream, John Stewart, they said, and they smiled to themselves as they pictured an ignorant Negro going forth alone to the wilds of the Northwest to teach the Indians. They would only scalp you for all your pains, they said. No one will give you money for such a foolish undertaking. Still, he was troubled. He could not forget the voices. He went to his best friend, the class leader, and asked his advice. Well, John, he said, your impressions and your sense of duty are no peculiar that no one will be willing to give you money for such a dangerous enterprise. But if you really feel that it is your duty to go somewhere northwest and preach to the Indians, obey what you believe to be the command of God. You cannot rest your mind in any other way than by making the attempt, at least, and starting your own journey. Then he said, he and his friend prayed, and while they were on their knees, John Stewart became sure of what he should do. First, he remained at his shop, dyeing clothes, until he had paid up all the debts he had made while he lived carelessly, squandering his money on drinks. Then he started forth and toward the northwest. None of his Methodist friends were there to bid him goodbye. None but his best friend, the class leader. He started across the fields alone with his Bible in one pocket and his hymn book in the other. All his outfit he carried in a coarse handkerchief tied to the end of the pole that crossed his shoulders. In it, he had 2 shirts, 2 extra pairs of socks, and a small supply of bread and meat. Thus he tramped from town to town toward the northwest, to him a faraway region of prime evil, forest and savage redskins. The northwest with its lodges of bark and plain log cabins of lonely pale faces, a land of scalpings and wars between redskins and whiteskins. Thither John Stewart walked. At first, he could follow the beaten roads. Ere long, he found only the trails of the animals through the wild forest. At times, he pushed his way through the tall grass of the prairies. As he journeyed, he watched the sun in the sky, and when he thought he was too far east, he would turn to the west, and he thought he was too far west, he would turn to the east. Sometimes he found lodging in the night in the cabin of kind-hearted pioneer who gave him a fresh supply of bread and meat. Sometimes he slept on the brown leaves in the woods, with the wild turkeys, the owls, the beavers for company. He would sit himself on a log and read his Bible and pray and sing. Thus John Stewart journeyed on day by day. He knew not whether he was going or how far or how he would be cared for. He only knew that he was going northwest. Here and there at long distances, when he found a log cabin, he would step to the door and tell his stories. Something about his face and the way he spoke would tell the settlers that he was honest, and usually they would invite him to share with them their cornmeal mush and would give him a bed on the floor. Some tried to discourage him, for the pale faces of West were not fond of the Redskins. John Stewart listened to their warnings, but he also heard the voices and he was not afraid. Again, all right? Some tried to discourage him, for the pale faces of the West were not fond of the redskin, the pale faces of the West. Once again, America is not in the West. The Western, what they call West, is a westernized ideology, okay? It's a concept of the Western man, which is the Caucasian man, the pale man. That's what the Western society or civilization is. America is not the West. All right? And you hear the pale skin and the redskins. And they're not talking about red like the color. They're talking about the undertone, the copper-colored races. All right? At last, having journeyed about 100 miles, he came upon a settlement of Delaware Indians. It was in October, and the red men were preparing to celebrate the gathering of the corn crop by a feast and a dance. The stranger was invited to watch. Dressed in their beads, feathers, and buckskins, the red man came. They gathered in a circle about a big fire in the woods, and the stranger sat among them. First, they filled the air with shrill cries. Then all the red braves began to dance wildly. They leaped about near the stranger, sometimes brandishing their tomahawks close by his head, as if to cleave his skull. Skillfully, however, they caused their weapons to miss, only now and then touching the hair on his head or grazing the skin of his face. Sometimes the big warrior chief, adorned with many colored paints, would point a big knife at the seated visitor and make a thrust at him as if to kill him, yet carefully missing his mark. At first, the would missionary sat trembling. After he remembered the voices and his heart began strong. Soon he opened his hymn book and began reading quietly. When the noise of the dancing and shouting grew less, he began to sing. The sweet tones of his voice seemed to cast a spell over the redskins. All became quiet and stood about listening. When John Stewart had finished, one of the red men cried, "Sing more," and grunts of approval passed from every lip. So the stranger sang other songs. Then he asked if anyone there could speak English. An old brave offered himself as the interpreter of John Stewart's words. "The Great Spirit has sent me to teach you," said the visitor, and he told them of the love of Jesus. Again, our people didn't know about Jesus. In fact, we didn't even use the word God. When we learned English, the closest equivalent we could have came to the word God was the Great Spirit. We didn't use the word God. We didn't know any Jesus on the American continent. And I'm showing you guys all the proof. And I'm showing it to you again. That was introduced and forced on our people. It was either you die or you become a Christian. Okay? That night, as he slept in an Indian lodge, John Stewart felt that he had done his duty and perhaps had found his work. The next morning, however, he thought he heard the voices once more saying, "Go to the northwest." So on and on, northwest, the lonely man tramped through forest and across plains, wading through the swamps and streams. The ground was his bed, and the wild fruits of the forest were his food. On another 100 miles, he tramped to the banks of the beautiful Sandusky River, to the lodges of the Wyandot braves. On the edge of the camp, he found a white man's cabin, the home of Mr. William Walker, the American agent for the tribe. The American agent for the tribe. I'm going to say that again. The American agent for the tribe. Okay. A runaway slave thought Mr. Walker when he first saw John Stewart. But when he had heard the black man's story of his coming, he was more ready to trust him. And the honest look in Stewart's face won the heart of Walker's Indian wife. So Walker was an agent for the Indian tribe, but mind you, he was a pale man, and he had an Indian wife. So that's how they conquered you. That's how they conquered your land. Remember, the woman is the earth. The woman is the soil. Okay, and any other ethnic group that goes into your woman, okay, it's a rapture. It's the rapture of the kidnapping of your land, because the land, okay, was passed down through the women. So all they had to do was get into your women, and they would own what the women own. If you don't believe me, go look in Africa right now. All the Chinese men are getting married to African women. Why? Because they're doing the same thing. The rapture, the raping of the African continent. By now, the Chinese. But it have to go through the woman. So they have to get in bed with the woman. They have to get into the womb of that melanated woman in order to capture her. But some of y'all just give it up freely to your colonizers. But anyway, that's another story. And I'm reading here right now, okay? Right here. There in another man, a Negro like yourself, named Jonathan Pointer, who belongs to his settlement, and he speaks English, said Mr. Walker. Then as a boy, he was working with his master in a cornfield. Indians killed his master and took him as captive. Even since that time, Jonathan Pointer had been living as one of the Indians. He probably will be willing to be your interpreter. Now let me ask you, right? In order to live as somebody, you have to look like somebody in order to fit in. He probably will be willing to be your interpreter. His lodge is 8 miles northwest of here in a big hollow. There is no road, no even trail leading to it, but you can find it if you keep the northwest. So again, John Stewart trotted on along. He found the lodge, but not a hearty welcome. It is fully of you, a poor colored man, to attempt to turn these Indians from their old religion, okay, to a new one, said Jonathan Pointer. Great and learned white men have been here before, and they used all their power, but they could not accomplish nothing. Okay? They could not accomplish nothing. So the point I'm trying to make you understand and overstand is that the pale man came to give us his language and he did his religion, and it didn't work. We fought to death. We fought to death again right here in black and white. Great and learned white men have been here before, and before you, my so-called African brother, and they used their powers, but they could not accomplish nothing. You hear that? Not something, not a little thing, not petite, not beaucoup, not poquito, nothing. In other words, we fought. We didn't want to be Christians. We didn't want that Jesus. We would rather die. But guess what? One of them who looked like us, a Negro. Oh yes, so we're African brothers. You cannot expect these Indians to listen to you. But the man who had heard the voices was determined. Now, let me ask you, was he successful? Was our African brothers successful by helping the pale man to spread his diseases? Well, let me ask you, isn't there a liquor store in every corner? Isn't there a church on every corner? So I guess that answers your question. That answers your question. And if you want more proof, I'm going to give you more proof, okay, of what I'm talking about. I'm not going to read chapter 2. Like I said, I'm going to put that link in in the book below. I mean, not in the link in on the website, but as you could see, I could read a little bit of chapter 2, or I could just stop right here. So let me get your opinion on that, if you want me to continue that or just put it on the website. And but just to give you some information. All right. Do you want me to read some of chapter 2 or just put it on the website? I could just do that. All right. So okay, so I'm all right. Whoa. Okay, so I'm seeing that here. Some people are saying, oh wow, like it's interesting. Let me go into say onto you. Okay, so I see somebody's quoting the Bible real heavy here. Tommy, I see you probably I don't want to jump into conclusions, but it seems like you're one of the heavy indoctrinated ones. Okay, once again, nowhere on the American continent there were Christians before, okay, before the pale man came along, and that's a fact. All right, that's a fact. It is not an opinion. It's a fact. All right. You have the wrong interpretation of the Bible. Okay, it's an allegory. It's an allegory. Jesus is not the Christ. And I heard Tommy said that again, and I'm going to prove it to you again. You see, everybody's always talking, and they don't do their research. All right, but let's get into that. let's get into that. I stopped sharing. Give me a second here. All right, because I don't want to turn this into religion right now. I'm just showing y'all the proof. But give me a second here while you guys talk in the live feed. Give me a second. All right. Okay. Okay. Give me a second here, guys. You will come in my name, claiming I am Christ. All right. Give me a second. Because I don't just like to talk about it. I like to show and prove. Okay, so here we go. For all those who go around thinking the allegorical Jesus was the allegorical Christ, all right? They were two different individuals, all right? Two different individuals. All right, so let's share this right here, okay? Now, let's look at Matthew 24, verse 5. Well, let us look at verse 4 first. Jesus answered, "See to it that no one deceives you." And 5, he said, "For many will come in my name, claiming I am Christ, and will deceive many." Jesus is telling you right there, he is not Christ. That's two different individuals. Jesus, the allegorical man, was the physical man, okay? The man that was capable of sin, the man that was born in a manger, the man that was born amongst the animal. Christ is the ascended, the anointed. That's what Christ means. So again, I know you guys want to get into your feelings, but I could only show you the facts. All right. So I'm not going to debate that. I'm not going to argue that. Jesus and Christ were two different individuals living in one. Okay. Just like how you have the physical man, which represent the Christ, which represent Jesus, and you have the spiritual I am, which represent Christ, which is the ascended, the anointed man. All right. So I just wanted to point that out real quick, because I know it's a very touchy subject, and y'all, I know how y'all feel about y'all Jesus, but I'm showing you how the proof. All right. Okay. So more information right here. I'm gonna take chapter 2. I'm just gonna put that on the website, and you guys could read that for yourself. Now we're gonna probably go in for, I would say, a good 3 hours today. All right, because I have a lot of information to drop. So here's some more information I'm gonna give you, and as the video play, I'm gonna pause, and we're gonna talk about a few of the things that we're gonna read. All right. Okay, so let's go here, and I'm gonna share the screen again. All righty, cool. I hope you guys are with me, man. Are you guys with me? Just want to know, are you guys with me? I mean, where's everybody at? Where's everybody at? Okay, because I see the chat kind of okay, I hear somebody talking a bunch. I've never been on Sympathetic. All right, cool. You guys are with me. All right, so let's do this. All right. Okay. Let us go here again. I'm gonna go take you back. Take you back, because only the truth will set you free, and that's a fact. All right. So let us go here. That video I'm about to play is in the link below, so y'all could definitely check that out. Okay. Definitely check that out. Play. All righty, cool. So just so you know, this is a very old video, as you could see, and it's a man giving a lecture. So I'm going to go straight into.
You will know that the name Dr. Clement Meehan is very.
The introduction. This man is going to give a lecture.
Something that any community in California
can be proud of as an opportunity to participate and to learn something about our heritage as citizens of the state. I am backed up in my lecture today by an assemblage of priests, saints, and martyrs behind me here who are going to lend a certain amount of authority to my pronouncements. But if you insist on being backsliders and your attention wanders, I have a little cannon here on my left, which may come in handy to bring you back to the true faith. And to some extent, that little capsule statement is what became of the California Indians with the arrival of Europeans in California in the early days. I'm going to make a valiant attempt to generalize and discuss the native peoples of the whole state. Now, that's really impossible to do, since I could spend the entire time on just one fraction of one tribal group. But I'll make the effort anyway, because I think it's useful as general background information, and you will hear in future presentations in this series much more about the Indians of the immediate environs of San Juan Capistrano. As you can see on the little map over there, and as you all know anyway, California is an extremely diverse state geographically. It has everything from 150 inches of rainfall in the northwestern corner to less than 2 inches in the Death Valley area. It has, as you know, elevations from below sea level to over 14,000 above, and it has a tremendously diverse plant and animal assemblage in the different environmental zones in the state. The Indians of California, being all hunters and gatherers and dependent upon what nature provided, obviously had to adapt their way of life to what nature provided. So they developed a way of life which was a close fit to the particular resources of their small territory. And the diversity is immense. There were 120 different languages, Indian languages spoken in California.
Okay, so you hear that? Only in California, there were about 127 different languages. A lot of them may have sound alike, but they were different. You hear that? 127 different languages in California alone. In California alone. Let me ask you a question. How many of these languages do we speak today? So you realize the damage that have been done to our people. The damage. 127 in California alone. Man.
Something we don't always think about. We think the missionaries came here and they built the mission chain, and the missionaries learned the Indian languages and so on. But if you were a missionary in a California mission and you learned the Indian languages, you could only talk to the Indians in your mission. You couldn't even talk to the Indians in the next mission because they spoke a different language.
And that's how they got us. Because different tribes spoke so many different languages, they learned each language and they started telling other tribes that this tribe said this tribe said that, and the tribes couldn't communicate. They couldn't communicate to know better or know different. And they started warring with each other. Again, divide and conquer. They use our differences, okay, against us. And let me ask you a question. Is there anything new under the sun? Isn't that what's happening today? Y'all better wake up, man.
And if you got very far away from where you were, the languages were in completely different language families. They were as different as English is from Chinese. So this diversity was matched by diversity in the details of the way people made a living, by the way in which they organized their societies, by aspects of their religious beliefs, and by sort of the central values that they had.
Again, keyword, by their religious beliefs. By their, in other words, we had our own religious beliefs. Okay? Showing you more proof.
And the first thing that we have to do when we start thinking about California's native peoples is to recognize a tremendous amount of diversity. We don't see this very often in our contemporary press or popular accounts because modern viewpoints tend to treat all Indians as if they were members of the same group. So we often see references to the Indian language, forgetting that there are 120 of them in California alone.
All right. And that's very key. That's very key because that's why it is so difficult for the so-called black man and woman to unite, because a lot of us came from different tribes, different DNA, different genes, a different bloodline. Okay. And that's one of the spiritual aspect of things. And some of that, the wars, okay, that happened between tribes, man, that's in the DNA of some of the people, of our people. So we are fighting internal, a lot of us are fighting internal demons, trying to figure out and understand who we are. And that's why you have so much conflict. That's why you can have brothers coming at me, brothers coming at other brothers, sisters coming at sisters, because again, a lot of us aren't part of the same tribe, so to speak, the same bloodline. We were mixed all over the place. So now you have all this internal conflict, and it's causing problems. But what we have to realize is this, okay? Yes, we had different languages. A lot of us came from different tribes, but we still have one mother, the mother continent. We are still brothers and sisters fighting each other.
Or the Indian religion, forgetting that there are many, many Indian religions and that they're extremely different in many of their details.
Okay, again, you see, here we go. Indian, many, many, many different Indian religions. So how does it work out in 2018, moving forward, that we only have 1, 2, 3 main religions that our people, they brainwash our people with? You see how systematic it is? Over 120 languages, meaning that each tribe spoke a different language. So that's literally almost over 80 different tribes alone in California. And they all had different religions. In other words, different understanding or understanding of what spirituality meant. So if you don't know what happened to you, you will not know how to move forward. You will not. And that's real talk.
And it's possible to emphasize the common features, the things that Indian groups shared with one another, but it's also possible to overdo that and to forget the diversity that is present. We have also tended to enforce this uniformity in our own culture because the people in our culture have an idea of what Indians are supposed to look like and behave like. And that's why we see in some California Indian parades, Plains Indian headdresses, which they didn't have in Aboriginal times.
Okay, very interesting. Very, very interesting. You hear that? In California right now, you see, you have to pay attention. In California right now, when they have these festivities, right, you would see all these plain Indian headdresses. We didn't have that in Aboriginal times. And let me show you what the plain headdress looked like. Y'all think I'm playing. Y'all gonna learn today, though. This is what the plain Indians headdress looked like. This big headdress that fall to the ground. We didn't do that because our feathers stood up. That's not an Aboriginal culture. Our feathers were never hanging down to the ground. No, that was introduced later by the natives. Those are their headdresses. Ours always stood up. Our feathers never fell to the ground. That was an Aboriginal culture, not this, not that. That's the plain Indians headdress. Plain Indians. It's the reason why they call them Plains Indians. I'm just saying. You know, no pun intended. So I'm showing y'all the difference. Okay? If you go into, you know, what you call it, Arnaldus Montanus, okay? And he speaks of an accurate account of the Americans, Indians, okay, in America, you would see all the headdresses, our feathers stood up. Our feathers stood up. So they took over our culture and have our feathers falling down, meaning that they took us down. It's a disrespect. And I see a lot of Aborigines with those kind of, don't get me wrong. I've rocked one of those before. But when I studied and learned, I stopped wearing that. I broke it down and I created something else. My feathers got to stand up. Feathers up. We never stood, it never laid down. Because we never laid down. All right? I'm just saying. Okay, let's get back to this.
Well, we see things like Cherokee totem poles, which I just saw a bunch of in the town of Cherokee in Tennessee last summer. And Cherokee didn't have any totem poles. But all of this is a response from Indians who are conforming to the white stereotype about this sort of cosmic universal Indian tribe. Okay, so you hear that again? What we're dealing with today, all right, it's us conforming to the pale man idea of what an Indian is supposed to be. All right, we didn't have Cherokee totem poles. We didn't have those things. That wasn't part of our Aboriginal culture. That's a native culture. And what you will learn that again, Indians, or who they call the Indians, our complexion varied from fair to very dark brown. So there's no one stereotype of what an Indian is supposed to look like in terms of the copper-colored races. All right? And even before the pale man came, you had a lot of the natives who were already here. Because all that was part of what we call the Indian slave trade. The Spaniards. And they do this so the people around them will accept them as Indians. Because otherwise they're going to say, no, he's not wearing a Plains Indian headdress, so he can't be a real Indian.
Selling out.
In California, there was also even physical diversity, subracial varieties of Indians who varied in stature, skin color, and skeletal features from area to area in the state. And that comes about from small groups which intermarried within their own territory over a period of thousands of years and actually could develop physical differences as well as language differences. But most important was cultural diversity, differences in social systems, religious beliefs, and material culture. I can't talk about all of them here, but what I am going to talk about is what the native peoples were like in sort of the major California Indian culture, which would be all of the central part of the state, the green part on that map, and a little bit about the group that lived in the extreme northwestern corner of the state, because they show a lot of marked differences from that central California pattern. I'm going to talk about the period before 1769. And that date is chosen because that is the date of the founding of San Diego Mission, when the Padres came to California and established the first of the missions.
Do you know what that mission is, right? To indoctrinate you. 1779, those missions didn't exist. There were no missionaries in California. But they established that in 1779. When was the United States formed? In 1776. So they've been working. They did their job. Now you got to do your job to restore what's yours. Okay, in 1779, that mission started. So we're talking about before 1779 in California, there was no, there was no pale people like that. You had fair-skinned Indians, yes, and we knew the difference.
That also marks the time of the first settlement of California by outside people. Prior to 1769, there had been only a few brief visits by navigators and travelers, but no foreigners had actually established a colony in California. So 1769 basically is the time when the native cultures, all those people who'd been here for thousands of years before any external people appear.
You hear that? For thousands of years. For thousands of years. So if we've been here for thousands of years, how the hell did we come on a slave ship for about 400 years ago? Like, can somebody make sense out of that for me? We've been here for thousands of years. Thousands. Thousands. And if Jesus is only 2,000 years old, then let me ask you a question. What you trying to tell me? These people that's been on the landmass of so-called America, our ancestors, we've been here for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. You're trying to tell me we didn't know that there was a Most High? We didn't know that there was a Great Spirit? We had no communication with the Great Spirit? Until the pale man had to come and introduce us to this so-called Jesus 2000 that was born 2,000 years ago? Y'all, and come on, I mean, y'all better wake up, man. Like, for real, for real.
Here, began experiencing the succession of changes which were to lead to the alteration of most of the basic aspects of native culture as it existed before there were any external contacts. Of course, the whole state did not change in 1769. The missions moved northward over a period of 40 years and never did extend very far north of San Francisco. Some areas of California did not see their first white man until 1850. So the spread of direct contact with alien people took.
Oh, so you see who the real aliens are? Those are who the real aliens are, the so-called white people. We had never seen aliens before in certain parts of California until the 1800s. That was just a few years ago. You know, people talking about like this thing happened like millions of years ago. No, these people just literally took over our land. I'm talking about a few years ago. But because of his story, they're making it seem like it's so long. It's not. This thing just happened. It just happens. All through the 1800s, all the wars that they were fighting is to take over what's ours, to take over our birthright. You know, I just got to come back to the live feed real quick, man, because this is mind-boggling, man. Like, this is mind-boggling. I mean, wow. I mean, are you guys getting this? I'm asking the question, man. Are you guys getting this? Like, for real. Are you guys getting this? All I could do is show you the information, brothers and sisters. Whatever you do, the rest is up to you. Okay? I could only show you the proof in the text, in their own words. I'm taking you back. Because the only way to move forward, is to go back and get the truth. Wake up from the lies. Wake up from the deception. Wake up. Take the blinders off. Man. All right. Let us proceed. All right, let's get into this. We got some more. All right, we got some more. Let's share the screen again. Glad you guys for sharing your space and time with me at this moment. All right, let's continue.
Place over a period of 80 years, almost a century. It has to be realized that what I'm talking about here is historical. It has been over a century since any tribal group in California was able to live its ancient ways in all aspects of their life. It's been over 2 centuries since there were any unchanged Aboriginal tribes living along the Southern California coast.
Okay, Aboriginal tribes, okay? You will never hear a native call themselves Aboriginal. You wouldn't even, today's natives, they don't even want to call themselves Indians because they know that title was taken away from them because they know politically it's incorrect. So they had to call them natives, and the federal government had to adapt that term native. And I showed y'all in a video exactly what that meant. What that meant. Okay? So who are the Aboriginals if they're not the native people? If they're not the so-called people that look Mongolian and, you know, what you see in Hollywood, who are these people? Our Aboriginal culture was robbed from us. And it didn't happen, you know, centuries and centuries and centuries ago. That was recent. It goes to show you how much work these people have been doing in overtime. Because they had a plan. They worked their plan and it worked.
(1769) to present. Now, a fair question is, since there wasn't anybody here to record the native cultures before 1769, how can we know anything about them? They had no written history of their own, and for the most part, the newcomers were not interested in the Indians and either ignored them or sought to change them as rapidly as possible into Christians who would integrate into the culture of the settlers.
You hear that again? Convert us into Christians. All right? When we integrated amongst the settlers. Another thing is we didn't have a written language. We just spoke tones and vibrations. Okay? That's why they say today, if you want to hide anything from a nigger, put it where? In a book. Because we didn't write everything. Our stories was told orally. And that's why I tell people, you don't have to, a lot of times, because of paper genocide, okay, we are not able to trace our lineage past a certain point, normally past the early 1800s or the late 1700s. Why? Because they killed us on paper. They killed us on paper. So going in a book and reading and that don't resonate with us because it's not part of our culture. Okay? I guarantee you will hear a brother or a sister on the corner tell a story, or they would hear something and recite it. Why do you think we are the best rappers, the best orators? We have always been the best artists. Orally, the way we spoke, we were eloquent. Very intellectual people. It's not that they were trying to hide the Bible from us. We didn't want to read that bullshit. We were forced to read it. Don't let them fool you with the lies because we didn't read. That wasn't part of our culture. So the point I'm trying to make is a lot of us who cannot pass a certain point in trying to find your lineage, don't stress it because our culture was oral and they know that. So all you need is 3 witnesses to say that my grandmother or my great-grandmother said that I'm an Aborigine, I'm the one they call the Indian, and that stands in any court of law. Y'all gonna learn today. If you want to, that is. If you want to, because I cannot force the information on you. I can only plant the seed.
This was the policy of the Spanish and later the American governments. So how can we find out anything then about people who were here before 1769? We have several sources of information. We have early traveler accounts. Cabrillo, of course, is traditionally the discoverer of California in 1542. That's just 50 years after Columbus discovered the New World.
So even 50 years after Christopher Columbus supposedly discovered the New World, you still have dudes 50 years later still talking about they discovered California. Man, listen.
We have Sir Francis Drake in 1579, who spent 6 weeks on the coast in Northern California. We have Sebastian Rodriguez Cermeña, who shipped California and spent a number of weeks with the Indians. And we have Vizcaíno in 1602. So there are 4 accounts which are more or less 16th century records from the very first outsiders who ever saw or had any direct face-to-face these dealings with any of the native peoples of California. Later, of course, we have many records of the mission period, of which in this area, Father Boscana's account is certainly one of the most important, in which he actually wrote down observations and records of the native Indian religions, which of course he was trying to supplant, but he needed to know about the native religions before he could effectively in terms of Christianity.
Once again, our many native religions, but they had to come study you. They had to study us before they could introduce their Christian concepts and ideas effectively. I mean, how much more can I tell y'all? What more do you want from me? Can you handle the truth? That is the question. Listen to this again. Listen to this again.
Of which in this area, Father Boscana's account is certainly one of the most important, in which he actually wrote down observations and
yes, he's a father. They call him Father Boscan, whatever the hell his name is. His observations, he was studying, paying attention. That's what all the statistics are about. That's what the census is about, studying you. That's another way of calling it a census. They study you, they watch you, everything about you, they're stalkers. And they use your strengths to beat you, and they use your weaknesses to devour you.
Records of the native Indian religions, which of course he was trying to supplant, but he needed to know about the native religions before he could deal with those people effectively. In terms of Christianity.
In terms of Christianity.
We also have a very interesting set of documents and some questionnaires that were sent around by the King of Spain or by the...
Okay, so you see the King of Spain sent some questionnaires. Isn't that what they do? They still do you today? Questionnaires, and you're so busy. You're just so happy. Oh, Master sent a questionnaire. If I fill it out, I'm gonna get a little prize. They always catch you with the trinkets. Always catch you with the trinkets. A little prize. Oh, a free little gift. A free, a $25 gift card. Just fill out this questionnaire. Tell me all about you. Tell me about your culture. Tell me about your religion. Tell me about your mental state. Just fill out this survey. My brothers and sisters, y'all better wake the hell up and realize what happened to our people. And it's still happening today because you're just so always anxious. In every neighborhood you go, they always have these little promotions, applications on the side. Hey, well, we got something new for you. Would you like taking this survey? The survey is free, but if you sign up, you will get this, you will get that. As long as Negroes hear something free, because everybody wants shit for free. Nobody want to pay for nothing. They want everything for free. As soon as they hear free, oh, I'm getting a gift too? Oh, shoot, here you go. Take my life.
The government of Spain in the period about 1813. And it was sort of a questionnaire all about native peoples. And it went to all the missions. The missions had to answer all of these questions.
So the missions, in other words, the missions were, who were putting forth the missions? The missionaries, okay? Who did the missionaries teach? Pastors and preachers. As you can see, Father Boozy, whatever the hell his name was, all right? And that's what they did. They studied you, sent questionnaires, and get those who look just like you to go around your neighborhoods, all right, and pull you into Christianity. And guess what happened? Look around you today. Look around you today. Tell me what, be honest with yourself. Tell me what this so-called savior in the Bible has done for so-called black people and so-called African Americans in the United States. Go ahead, tell me. Or anywhere in the world. I'll wait. So I'm not speaking just because I want to be mad. No, I'm giving you the facts. Okay? I'm giving you the facts. Facts over feelings. So if you want your feelings to get involved, your feelings are going to get hurt. Because I'm giving you the facts. facts?
Probably, in fact, clearly from internal evidence with a certain amount of irritation and foot dragging that here was one more administrative document that they had to fill out while they were very busy doing the things they had to do. In any event, from this kind of information, we do have a fair amount of eyewitness data about what the Indians looked like, how they lived, what their belief system was, what their villages were like, and so on. We do have to remember that both travelers' accounts and mission accounts are subject to a lot of bias because the observers were often not sympathetic to the natives they encountered, usually did not speak the language and therefore couldn't talk to people directly, and so on.
Okay, so you see where all the misinformation comes in. A lot of those people that saw the true account of what we were, who we look like, our culture, our religion, etc., etc., they were biased. Okay, let me ask you a question today. Who is the #1 race of people in this so-called United States again that face the most bias? My brothers and sisters, there is nothing new under the sun. Nothing new under the sun.
We also get a lot of information from ethnography, and to get back to truly Aboriginal conditions, we have to rely on memory ethnography because there were no ethnographers to study or visit or interact with native peoples until about 1900. And by that time, we're a long ways past the beginning of the mission period and past the introduction of Europeans, past the arrival of Americans, past the gold rush, past California becoming part of the United States. So for those people, they had to rely very heavily on what we call memory ethnography. Indians who could say what life was like when they were children, or who could say what they were told by their parents or grandparents, but not people who had themselves experienced most of what they were talking about, except perhaps as children. So there are a lot of limitations, even in that kind of document, but we do have a fair amount, considerable amount of information there, some of which dates back to the 19th century with early ethnographers like Powers, Taylor, and several others. The most thorough and comprehensive work was done by A.L. Kroeber and his students from Berkeley starting about 1900. It just happens that anthropology as a field of study got its beginnings really not much before 1900, and it just happens that Kroeber was one of the first 10 people in the United States who got an academic degree in that subject, and by chance he was hired at Berkeley as a beginning instructor for $900 a year or something in about 1900, and then pursued, because he was surrounded by surviving and remnant Indian groups of various kinds. He studied them and his students studied them over a period of 30 or 40 years. And these were people who were very interested in the native cultures and who made every effort to document native knowledge and native viewpoints at a time when no California Indian was doing this and very few non-Indians saw it as valuable to write these things down. In fact, it was considered a bit of a fringe activity for people to be spending their time talking to Indians and writing down Indian myth and legends instead of making a living in the hardware store or whatever.
Again, you see, there is nothing new under the sun. You have always been the resource. Look at sports today, right? You have always been the biggest asset. We have always been the biggest asset. So, again, nothing new under the sun. 40, 50 years amongst us to learn everything, document it, and make money off of it. They would pay you, hey, you know what? I could give you $500 for your story. All right, cool, great. But then they're going to get $2 million. At what point are we going to allow people to stop using us? That's what I want to know.
Everyone else was doing. We have to also mention archaeology as a source of information about what went on before 1769. This is primarily useful at linking to the ethnographic record. We can see in the archaeology things that we know about from what has been recorded from living or recent Indians. we can also see in the archaeology the tremendous time depth of California Indian culture, the fact that those people were here for thousands of years before we showed up on the scene, and the adaptations and changes that these people made to their environment through this very long time period. Okay, let's turn on the slides, and the rest of it I'm going to try to show you by means of example, and if this is a bit disjointed, bear with me, because remember, I'm trying to cover huge area, huge number of tribal groups, and there's no way I can do this without perhaps overgeneralizing a little bit in some of my statements. All right, here comes the Europeans. This is an engraving from one of the very early historical accounts of the New World, engravings done by a Belgian engraver, Theodore de Brie, in the early part of the 16th century, and he had gone around and either read the books or interviewed the people who'd made journeys to the New World, and then drew all of these pictures in order to show what the New World was like. It was kind of a travel book of the New World. He never got any direct information about California as a whole, but he does tell us a lot about what life was like in the New World. And here, of course, are the Spanish ships sailing across the Atlantic and contacting all of the people in both North and South America. Along with those people, of course, came the Spanish missionaries and soldiers and merchants and various other people. This is a debris picture of Indians in Virginia on the east coast of the United States, and it represents Indian hunters who are on the left, concealed under deer skins or with a deer head over their head, and carrying their bows and arrows and creeping up on the game animals in order to get close enough to them to shoot them. Not very important, but a significant ethnographic observation. Some Europeans saw this and recorded it. Debris made a picture of it. Exactly the same thing also happened in California, by the way, in all of the areas where deer were hunted, because hunting does not depend, with bows and arrows, does not depend on shooting the deer from 300 yards away. You've got to get in really close, and therefore the skill of the hunter in stalking is very important. Here's another little episode, this one from California history. This is a copy of the Drake plate. It's in the Bancroft Library at Berkeley, and much debated as to whether it's authentic or not authentic, but there are a lot of arguments that can be made both ways. I still think it's likely to be the real thing. If it is the plate that Sir Francis Drake put up in Marin County, north of San Francisco, claiming this land and all land touched by this ocean, which is a lot of land, for Queen Elizabeth I of Spain, a little plaque that was erected in 1579 and originally had a sixpence down here in the hole as a seal picture.
So you hear that? A plaque was put up in San Francisco, right? Around that time, claiming our land for Queen Elizabeth I, right? Of Spain. Now, put two and two together. I want you to put two and two together. All right? Spain, who ruled Europe for 711 years? So if our land was being conquered for Isabella I, is it wrong to assume, no, I'm just assuming, is it safe to say that Queen Elizabeth I was a melanated woman? Or she was working for the melanated men? Because the original Spaniards from Spain, they were dark-skinned men. That ruled Europe for 711 years. So if they came to California, Spaniards, right? And they put up a plaque saying that they own this, then who was taking your land? People who look just like you. But I'm gonna leave that alone. Y'all figure out the rest.
Queen Elizabeth I on it. Drake was in Marin County for 6 weeks, and his account includes a lot of of eyewitness material about the Indians of the area. Very interestingly, the Indians there thought that Drake and his men were spirits, were dead people, were their own ancestors who had come back to Earth, which is a very interesting story, which I don't have time to talk about today.
Okay, here's something interesting again, right? How is that, you know, the Aboriginals would think the pale man would be their dead ancestor spirit that came back? So that means the people look just like them. People they had never met before, they didn't know, but they look just like them because they were a different type of Negro. I guess there goes the story of the red man and the black man. Black man from supposedly Africa and the red man from supposedly America. Interesting.
And of course, we come to the mission situation. And here's an early drawing of Mission Carmel with the Padres, distinguished visitors, and a bunch of Indians standing in attendance at the mission settlement itself.
Okay, so you see, that's a mission settlement right here itself. You have the Indians on the left lined up, okay, uniformed. And then you have the Padres. What's Padre? Padre is father, okay? Even before they had pastors and ministers and all those things are new, okay? But you had the fathers, the founding fathers, the Padres. As you could see the buildings, you could see the cross on them. Your conquerors. They have to line up. Look at the complexion of too much caught up in complexion, because we range from fair to very dark brown, almost what they call black. But again, I'm just showing you. So to say that all the Aborigines were of dark brown of color, that's not true. We had fair-skinned Aborigines. Saraseti is a fair-skinned Aborigine who's confused. So again, man, we got to get this together, man.
And as you can see, the mission settlement is not anything very elaborate, artistic, or romantic. It is really an outpost manned by a couple of missionaries and 2 or 3 soldiers to spread the Christian faith.
But let me ask you a question, right? And oh well, not to elaborate, but you know, just a few missionaries and a few soldiers to spread the Christian faith. Why do you need soldiers to spread the Christian faith? You know what? Let me go back to the live feed, man, for a quick second here, because I kind of feel like I'm alone here. I kind of feel like I'm alone here. Am I alone here? I need to know if I'm alone here. I need to know, man, because am I the only one who's seen what happened? Am I alone here to see, you know, what happened to our people? Why are you spreading the Christian faith with soldiers? Why is that? But I guess today they don't, right? Because now you got your pastors, which is the new soldiers, right? I mean, am I bugging? Am I bugging? Am I the only one who could see through the veil? Am I the only one who could see through the blinders? I mean, seriously, it's a serious question. Ask yourself this question. Why? Why do we need, or why did we need soldiers? Why did we need soldiers to spread the Christian faith? Why did the Padres need soldiers to escort them? Why? Because that thing was being forced. We were being strong-armed to accept the Christian faith. Man, I'm telling y'all, man, this, whoa. I mean, I've heard this before. I know it, but every time I you know, my emotions got to come out, man. Every time, because it's like, you know, you see it, again, cognitive dissonance. You see it, but you don't want to believe it. because you're afraid. Wow. Anyway, let's get back to this. Let's get back to this. Let us listen to that part one more time here real quick. Okay. Oh, that's something. No. Where we at? Oh man, Indians. Okay, here we go. All right. Let's hear this again.
Along the coast of California by a couple of missionaries and 2 or 3 soldiers going of Mission Carmel with the Padres, distinguished visitors, and a bunch of Indians standing in attendance at the mission settlement itself. And as you can see, the mission settlement is not anything very elaborate, artistic, or romantic. It is really an outpost manned by a couple of missionaries and 2 or 3 soldiers to spread the Christian faith along the coast of California, which of course missionaries did over a long period of time. Here's a painting of some Indians at Mission San Francisco, or San Jose, I think, painted in the early 1800s by one of the visitors to the missions. And here we have a situation in which the Indians were permitted to hold one of their native ceremonies, whatever it may have been, but it was done by Indians who were converts to the missions, and they were portrayed in this way. And this is clearly reflects Aboriginal body painting, feathered.
Okay, here, man, listen, what more can I show y'all? I mean, seriously, what more? Who are these people? You could see them, they clearly look just like you, right? The Aboriginal people. They are you. Like, I mean, I'm lost for words, man. They are you. That's been converted. Converted. That's why they always ask you, oh, are you converted? You see, again, there is nothing new under the sun. All right? And even then, we were still practicing our cultures. If you go look at pay attention to the headpieces. All right? We didn't have no Indian plains headdresses that fell to the ground. Look at the headpieces. Those are our aunties and uncles and brothers and sisters. What's the difference between them and us in the hood right now? The only thing today we call ourselves, well, I don't call myself that, but a lot of y'all going around calling yourselves Black and African American and niggas and shit. Not knowing that you're the Aborigines. And once again, the Aborigines came in different shades and shapes and forms. And even some of these so-called native people today, they have some of the Aboriginal blood in them because they're mixed with our people. But they want you to think you are so-called Indian because you mix with them. It is flipped around. All the lies have been told. They flipped everything around. These people, these natives, they were only called Indians because they slept with our people. It's not the other way around. We were not called Indians because of them. No. They were called Indians because of us. But politically, it's incorrect. So they had to take that away from them and call them natives and not Indians. And they'll tell you in a heartbeat, oh, I don't like being called Indians. Damn right, because you are not the people they called the Indians when they first came here. Let us get back into the live feed. Let me, well, I'm on the live feed. I'm talking about the sharing of the video. I get so excited, man. It's like, shoot. Don't get me started. All right, here we go. Okay.
Headdresses and all kinds of things which were there before the Spanish missionaries got there. That is a continuation of some aspects of native religious life.
You see, before, and we maintain that. You saw the headdress. I mean, look at it. You see, we didn't have this.
Who were converts to the missions, and they were portrayed in this way. And this is clearly reflects Aboriginal body painting, feathered headdresses, and all kinds.
Let me ask you a question. When have you ever heard a native call themselves Aboriginal?
The things which were there before the Spanish missionaries got there. That is a continuation of some aspects of native religious life.
And look at the brother that's on the right side right here. Where? Look at the brother that's on the right side right here. The brother that's all the way to the right. You know, the real dark skinned one, the one next to him. The one second to the last on the right. He's light skinned. So I'm saying we came in different shades, man. And look at the other one that you would look at him today and say, yo, that's a black man. But that's the copper-colored races. Okay?
And all kinds of things which were there before the Spanish missionaries got there. That is a continuation of some aspects of native religious life. Other early paintings, of course, show the conflict situation between Indians and the incoming Europeans. There were obviously many instances of misunderstanding, situations in which the Spanish, it was necessary for Indians to be punished because they were not adhering to their vows as Christians and so on.
Oh, you hear it again? Again, well, I mean, I showed it to you in a book, in text, and here we go with the audio again. Okay? They thought that we should be punished because we didn't want to be Christians. The Spaniards, right? Who were the Spaniards? Who lost their reign in 1492 in Spain and came into the Americas? Yes. Our own brothers who look just like us from Africa. And again, I'm not saying that to create division, because at the end of the day, even if they helped those people, they ended up being slaves as well, because you cannot trust the pale man. He doesn't stick to his word. He doesn't honor his word. But they brought their religion of the fathers, of the padres, okay, into our land, and it's either you want it to be a Christian or you die or you get punished. And sometimes that punishment felt like death.
I've done and there were a lot of instances in which Indians ran away from the missions, decided they didn't want to be Christians and wanted to go back to their native way of life.
Okay. Our ancestors ran away from Christianity. But today you cannot stop Negroes from going to church. Ask yourself what happened. What happened to you between the 1700s and 2018? Ask yourself what happened to you in these few years. Ask yourself that. But y'all gonna get mad at the information, right? Again, facts over feelings.
And ran away into the backcountry and so on. I've done a lot of research into this, and I cannot find a single instance in which any Indian was ever executed or killed. There are a lot of instances in which Indians were punished or were beaten or were mistreated, certainly from their viewpoint, were being mistreated by the Spanish, but I do not find a single instance in which an Indian was confined to a cell for 10 years or hanged or executed within any of the mission situations. Of course, that makes sense because missions are church establishments and they are not military operations.
Oh, really? That's why they had the soldiers there to come spread the Christianity, right? Okay, I hear you. I hear you.
Early people who came into California starting in the 1820s, 30s, 40s, and up to the time of the gold rush, and even in some parts of California after the gold rush, came upon many native villages, and the standard native village for most of California would look something like this. It would consist of a few houses with little dome-shaped or teepee-like structures.
Yeah, teepee-like, but not teepees. We didn't have teepees, okay? Dome shapes, mounds, pyramids. Teepees came in with what you call the natives. TP like? No, not yeah, TP like, but not TPs. All right. Oh, well, you looks like, oh, you kind of look like somebody. Well, guess what? I look like them, but they ain't me. Okay, they ain't me. But anyway, I'm gonna the video is in the link below. And once again, you will hear things like the Aborigines. Okay, we didn't have any form of written. Okay, that wasn't part of our culture. However, later came what you call the Aztecs and the Mayans and the Incas. They had a profound history of a written history. Or so eventually our ancestors evolved into that. So that part of the video speaks on that as well. But the link is below. You could check it out. I'm not going to go into everything. I just wanted to go again, open up your mind to the knowledge so that you could do the research and the information yourself. There is also a part 2 of the video. The link is below. Check it out. Check it out. Okay, check it out. Let us get back to the live. Well, we are on the live feed, but let me stop the video and stop sharing this. All right. Okay. Okay. So here we are again, just giving you information, proving to you, and it's not about first or last. It ain't got nothing to do with that, because I tell people, listen, yes, we were the first people here, but what's happening to you today? What's happening to you today? So it's not about that. For me, it's not about trying to prove who was here first. We already know that. It's about I'm taking it a little further in terms of what needs to be done. What are we doing to restore our birthright? Okay, I'm not about just talking. I'm about making moves. Oh, and just so you know, the link for the book is below. Get a copy of the book. Newsflash: Everyone's a Slave Unless. Get your copy. Okay, get your copy. It's a great read. A lot of powerful information in the book. It speaks about, you know, us. Not I didn't touch culture per se, but the perspective of the book is coming from man and woman that was made in the likeness and image of the Creator, and the rights that we have. And I'm showing you again difference between law and legal, because a lot of our people are facing legal issues, and that's what they need to master, learn how to beat the legal system. So in the book is definitely going into all that. You know what I'm saying? Anytime, Jonathan, anytime. All right. So let us conclude this video by looking at a few definitions. Okay, so first we have the Webster's Noah's 1828 dictionary. A lot of people are familiar with that, but I'm not gonna beat the dead horse. But however, I am gonna go over it briefly, so that we could just wrap up this video. Okay, so we have the Noah's Webster's 1828 dictionary. Now, just so that we have a different perspective on this definition around that time, because that dictionary was out in 1828. But let us see what else was happening in 1828 in what's called the United States. So you see, that's how I do things. That's how I cross-reference. That's how I research. I don't just go to one source. I like to cross-reference to show you things from different perspective. In other words, vintage point. I mean, y'all seen that movie, I'm certainly sure, where people saw an incident happen the same time, the same day, the same hour, right? The same second, but because the accident was seen from different vintage points, different POVs, okay, point of views, then people had different accounts of the incident. So I like to kind of like cross-reference things and show you the facts. All right, so let us see. American Indian. All right. History. 1828. 1828. All right. Native American 18 to the 1800s. Right. We had. Let's just look to see what we could find here. All right. So we have a site. Again, I've never been on that site, so I just put this in. Something came up. It says, let me just make this a little bigger here so we could so you don't have to strain. So I'm certainly sure you guys could see this. All right. Okay. So we have a few dates here, and it looks like it's in chronological order. I think, I'm not sure, but we have a little timeline here. It says that's the website. It said www.amazon.com. So hey, you could check it out. I don't have it in the link because I just decided that's pretty much off the whim. All right. It says that was published Thursday, December 2012, written by Dr. Eric Mayer. And it says Indian history in 1800 to 1828. As we have seen, the American Indian was a tragic casualty of imperial expansion. First, whoa, let me see. Can you guys, let me see, make sure you guys get what's going on here. For some reason, this thing, it just stopped sharing. What's up? What's up? What's going on? I know they ain't trying to sabotage this. All right, stop playing. Stop playing. Stop playing. All right. Whoa. Okay, so okay, give me a second here. What's going on here, man? All of a sudden, you know, what the heck? Oh man, what's going on? Like, can you guys, what? Whoa, it says stop. What's going on here, man? Okay, let me stop this again. I'm gonna do it again. Share. Share. Okay, what's going on? Wow. Okay. So all of a sudden, I can't share. Quintain Siemens, you could go in the link below and follow the instructions, and you could get a copy of the book. My brothers and sisters, okay, present to everyone. Let me hit present to everyone. Okay, what's going on? All of a sudden, I can't share my screen. Like, that doesn't even make any sense. Wow. Wow. Ain't that a blimp? Okay. So all of a sudden, I can't share. I can't share the screen. This sucks. This sucks. Wow. Man. I can hear the feed, but not see what you have. Yeah, I know. Like all of a sudden, it's like everything was good, and I went to Google and showing y'all some, cross-reference these jewels, and all of a sudden I can't share my screen. Isn't that something? I tell you, man. So they messing with it. Okay, they're messing with it. They're messing with it. They're messing with it. Okay. They're messing with it. Okay. My camera is not connected. Hold on for a second. Give me a second. Let me just, before I all right, camera turn off. I don't want to turn off camera. What's going on? Ah. Okay. We go to settings, voice, defaults, built insight, camera. Okay. Cancel that. All right, give me a second, guys. I'm trying to figure out what's going on here. I'm trying to figure this out. I don't know what's going on. Invite people, microphone mute. I don't want to mute that. Man, it's not even allowing me. This is crazy. It's not even allowing me right now to access my camera. Wow. And I know I didn't turn off my camera. It just stopped. This is bugged out. Wow, no video. That's on mute. Okay. Settings. Turn off camera. I don't want to turn off camera, man. Like, for real. listen, I don't know what's going on. Okay, this is yeah, yes, you can. All right, you can hear me. Okay, all right. So the next question is, if you could hear me, can you see me? That is the next question because my camera is off, and all of a sudden it just seemed like they just took out my camera. Like that's kind of weird, man. No, you can't hear. Okay, I don't know what's going on. Wow, 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 wow. Okay, this is messed up though. It says continue allowing Hangouts to access your camera microphone. Always block. I don't want to block it. All right, not able to see your screen. Can't hear you. Can't see you. All right, some people could hear me, but they can't see me because they took out my camera, man. That's messed up. That's messed up. That's messed up for real, for real, for real. But if you could hear me, what I was going to do is I was going to show you the definition of American in the Noah Webster's 1828 dictionary, but I was going to cross-reference it to what was happening around that time. Now, around that time, there were a lot of wars going on, and we were supposedly slaves, right? So why in 1828 they would say that we are the copper-colored races? If we were slaves, why would they give us so much credit? So again, it shows you the lies that were told. Man, you know, this is messed up, man. I can't even share this thing, but you know what? It's all good. All right, family. I'm a little bit disappointed right now. That just kind of like, you know, dampened my mood. You know, I mean, I was almost done with the lecture anyway, but that kind of, you know, messed up my vibe right there. All right, that, you know, you can't see me because it's not allowing me to share. All right, so I'm trying to see if I could, let me give it another attempt. Application window, your entire screen. Yeah. Okay, yeah, because it's not present to everyone. I am, all right, hide participants. Okay, turn off camera. No, the camera, it seemed like they took out the camera, so I don't know what's going on. All right, so I'm not going to spend too much time beating a dead horse, okay? You guys could hear me. And so, like I said, they kind of like, you know, count out my camera. So what I was going to do, I was going to show you the difference, not the difference, but I was going to compare what was happening when they say 1828, what it means in Noah Webster's 28 dictionary, and what was actually happening in Native American history. Okay, to show you the contrast. Okay, we were fighting wars, and if we were the so-called slaves, why in the same 1828 they would say that we are the Aborigines? So you have to put two and two together for this to you know, make sense to you. But I'm gonna end this video here, guys. I wish you know, that didn't happen, but it did. Okay, so turn on camera. It's still not happening. Okay, so again, I apologize about that. It's not my fault. Like honestly, it's not my fault. Okay, now tools, cameraman. Okay, what's going on here? All right, cameraman. All right, guys. Okay. So you got the gist of the video and the direction I was going in. I do hope you guys enjoy the rest of the day. Once again, check the link below. I appreciate that, Brother Tyrone. Check the link below and get your copy of the book. The link is below. Just follow the link. The name of the book is Newsflash. Everyone's a slave unless. A lot of powerful information. I'm teaching you how to win in the book, how to fight and win, you know, and it's powerful, man. So share the information, brothers and sisters. We got a lot of work to do because the goal is to get your affairs in order. Get your affairs in order before 2020. All right, get your affairs in order because that is going to be a new contract. All right, when they're going to pull you back into that servitude, into that voluntary slavery. Or I'm going to make an attempt to get a copy of that movie, The Purge. If anybody has an MOV of The Purge, please do me a favor, email it to me because I want to break that down. I want to go in detail. Okay, but I'm going to try to see if I could get an MOV of that movie, because it's very important that I go over that movie with you guys, because again, you have to get your affairs in order before 2020, because we are going to stand by the lines and watch a lot of our brothers and sisters perish, and they're going to be perished for the lack of knowledge. All right, so I'm literally on a high right now, and I'm talking about a natural high. All right, I don't smoke, I don't drink, so it's a natural high from the love that I have for my people, and that's why I do what I do. Okay, so enjoy the rest of your day. At least I got a lot of the information out. What I was about to show you was pretty much the conclusion, which you could look up for yourself. And I was gonna read a little bit about something about Black Bob Shawnee Chief. If you go in the link below, you will see that Wikipedia link. Click on it, and I was gonna read to you about, you know, Black Bob. So again, showing you who these people were, and that was in from 1862 or 1864, was a Native American Shawnee chief. All right, so even up to the 1800s, I'm showing you who these people were, who the chiefs were, who these people were. They called the Indians. All right, so all of this lightning and so-called lightning of who our people are didn't start happening until the early 1900s. Okay, so it's not that far along. It is not that far-fetched. You just have to find the information and let it make sense. Okay, so the link is below. You would see Black Bob Shawnee Chief. You know, read the information. All right, and you would see, and again, more information to open up your mind as to we being the Aborigines of this land. All right. And thank you, Angela, for, you know, the great reviews on the book. And peace, Brother Taloff. What I'm gonna do is, for all those of you who have gotten the book, I'm not gonna plan it because I don't want to set anything up. It's gonna be I'm gonna do a video, and I'm gonna invite all those of you who have gotten the book and just give your true opinion on it. You know what I mean? No pre-questions in advance to say I plan anything. I want people to hear from your own words how much knowledge is in the book. You know what I mean? And hopefully, if I do that, you guys would be willing to come. You don't have to show your face, just, you know, your voices, to speak a little bit on the book, and how, you know, how much information do you think was in the book, and can it help the people and stuff like that. So definitely, my goal is to teach you how to win in this legal system, how to win that, because the 99% of our problems, all right, is with the legal system, and that's what's taking us down. And you have to learn how to win. You have to learn how to beat this beast. And if you do learn how to beat this beast, we could take the beast down. All right. So with that being said, I appreciate your energy. Thank you so much for your time. I really don't know what happened with this, but I will make an attempt to do. Of course, I'm going to do more live videos, but I'll check that camera and see what happened, because, like I said, as soon as I started showing that, getting into, you know, into the conclusion, they just took my camera out. I'm like, damn, that's weird. So they're always watching. They're always watching. And it's okay. We don't have to hide to speak on who we are. We don't have to hide anymore. Okay? We shouldn't be ashamed to call ourselves the Aborigines. All right? There are Australian Aborigines. There are African Aborigines. How come when it comes to the Americas, they don't have Aborigines? So, you know, don't fall for the okie doke. All right? Don't let them fool you. We are the Aborigines, and that's the stance that we have to take to restore what's ours, American Aborigines. All right? So have a great continuation. Continue to, you know, to vibe positive. Continue to show love. Don't get involved in negativity, no matter what people do. All right? Don't get involved in the negativity. I'm not saying let them take advantage of you. I'm not saying that, but don't get caught up in negativity. All right? Together, we could make this thing happen. And not everybody is going to come together. We were not meant to sing Kumbaya all together. No. Different tribes. And I just showed you the proof again. Different languages, different customs, different cultures. And in a video, I'm going to speak on the Caribbean culture that's synonymous with the Southern culture. I'm going to show y'all that we are one people, and I'm going to drop some more jewels in those videos in relation to the so-called Caribbean people and the people that's on the mainland. I got a lot of information that I want to share with you guys, so I'm going to take it in strides, support the endeavor. Like I said, I gave up the whole GoFundMe thing because people took offense to me putting in all this work and asking my brothers and sisters to support the movement, but yet still they doing it. You know what I'm saying? So I say, you know what? I'm going to put all the knowledge in the book, okay, that's going to help my people and let them support it. You feel me? So you have the information, the book is there. It's up to you if you want to access the book or not. But I guarantee you the knowledge that's in the book will help you win battles. Okay, it will help you win battles. You teach your children, it will teach your children on how not to go to jail. It will teach you how not to get caught up in this legal system. It will teach you how to win battles without going to court. Okay, that's how powerful the information is. So the link is below. Get your copy. There's other links below for the video that I just showed you. The second part is in there. All right, and the second part is in there. Hey, peace, lovely. The second part of the video is in there, plus the stuff about Bob. It's in there. So there's a lot of information in there, man. Just do the research and give these people back their religions, man. Give them back their gods, okay? Let us reawaken the great spirit that our ancestors, looked up to, all right? It's the only way out. We got to get back and go back to our culture. Go back to what made us strive, not what make us fall. And that's where we are getting tricked. Christianity made our people fall. We didn't have that. We didn't have Islam. We didn't have those religions. Okay? Keep that in mind. So with that being said, I love you guys. Enjoy the rest of your day. And thank you always for sharing your space, time, and energy with me. And have a great continuation and enjoy the rest of this beautiful. Well, I just started actually hearing thunder. It looked like we're going to have a snowstorm out here in New York. It's all good. I'm always ready for that. I might just go out there in the rain and do an Indian rain dance. You know what I mean? So indeed, Brother Jonathan, like I said, your book was mailed out earlier in the mail today. So you're definitely gonna enjoy this great read, man, for real, for real. And thank you to all the brothers and sisters out there that's putting in that work. It's much appreciated. A lot of times we may have different, again, perceptions, opinions. The way we render the message may be a little bit different, but underlying the message is the same message that we are the Aborigines. And to even take it further, we are the original people of the planet. All right. So yes, I have done the rain dance a few times in the rain, and it is just so exonerating. It's a beautiful feel. You feel like your spirit is free, at ease, that you're alive again, connecting with nature. I have done it a few times. So if we do get some rain, I think hopefully one day we could get some heavy rain, and I'll be out there dancing in the rain, and I'll record it. It's just such a beautiful feeling, man. It feels so good. All right. Love you guys, man. Peace and love. And we'll talk soon. One.